Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday Funday that I know has been in. I've been waiting for a while to finally get to back to it. So I need to kind of explain what the hell happened, why I have been gone for so long, what has been the issue. So there is, best way to put it is it's a myriad of different problems. First off, let's just say holidays are always the bitch. They always tend to fuck with my schedule for some reason, even though they tend to happen like later on in the week. But it's just because there's a lot of time that I don't get anymore. I have a lot of time I have to spend with family, spend with friends, and all that, and I just tend to be unable to do anything. So that started to kind of fuck with things for a bit at the end of November and then going into December. Those who do know, I work for Amazon, and of course, if y'all know anything about Amazon, we have peak around then. That's when they decide that everybody in the world needs to work extra hours to, make up for, the fact that everybody orders everything in the fucking world. Uh, that pretty much meant that I was working consistently 5 days a week, and also meant that I got to work sometimes, luckily, 6 days a week, because yay! Having no life is awesome. But the bigger thing that ended up affecting all of this and also made the working that much actually kind of really difficult was a whammy of personal issues that ended up happening. There were two people that were very close to me that ended up having to go to the hospital, and more importantly, and unfortunately as well, one of them passed. Still currently dealing with that right now. We're still waiting much in the way of information about it. The only thing I can assure y'all is like, no, it wasn't due to COVID or anything stupid like that. But after the one person, I'm not going to let you know who, unfortunately, just that is just for me, that's my personal thing. Uh, Whenever they pass, I began to think, it's like, well, do I even do this anymore? I had to really talk with myself as I figure out, it's like, is this worth it? Should I keep at this? And actually, strangely enough, it took this movie that you can see below that I've reviewed, that I'm going to give more of my thoughts about, and also another movie that I'm going to give my thoughts about here in a bit. Trust me, there's going to be another review soon. For me to decide that yes, I should keep talking about movies. And what movie is that here that I wanted to talk about that, was so, either good or god awful that I needed to just speak about? That, of course, as you can see below, is Mulan. So, quick talk about Mulan and what I thought about the original anime movie. Never watched it. That's a good ringing endorsement right there. I never watched the original Mulan, just had no want to. I never was much of a Disney kid to begin with, and then on top of everything, Mulan just wasn't my cup of tea. Um, so I guess it's also kind of a good thing is because I don't have really anything to compare it to. So for me, this can seem very fresh, or it could seem like something worse. And honestly, I think I figured out the best way to describe this movie. It's Crouching Tiger Special Ed. I'm sorry if that seems really, really harsh, really, really mean. This movie's fucking stupid. It's very bad, too. Oh, so elephant out of the room first. Yes, it was terrible that they decided to shoot this all near where actual concentration camps are, you know, at. that was insanely in poor taste. I don't know if the Disney execs either thought about that, cared about it, or what, but that was stupid. That being said, I'm not going to say more about it simply because I'm not gonna sit here and say that's the reason this movie is bad. No, a movie isn't bad just simply based on where it's shot. A movie is bad based on what it does, and what it does is a lot of crap that is not at all how a movie should be done. First thing first, we need to talk about the other elephant in the room, and that is this acting for this film, and also what it decides to do with the Mulan story, at least based on or compared to the Disney original. Now, the Disney original, the best way to put it is it wasn't exactly the most respectful to Chinese culture. It wasn't exactly the, be all end all of, all, Asian homogeny or anything like that. Sorry, some of my glasses is distracting me. It wasn't Pocahontas levels of, like we're not, you totally don't understand what you're talking about, but it was still rather piss poor. So they decided to take a more respectful way of doing this film. And respectful meant that they had to make a movie that, was essentially mostly, or if not all, Asian descended, or actors who are of Asian descent, which, hey, that's cool, that's fine, I'm totally understanding it. But also made sure that we had to have a director who couldn't tell these people to not act like they are going over the top. Except for the main lady, who, she's so wooden. I don't know how to describe her, except she sounds like everything she says. She's like this. It feels like somebody making fun of like an old-timey dub of something. It's weird. It's awkward that this is your lead. That your lead cannot emote to save her fucking life. There's a joke at the very beginning where it's like, oh, I have so much makeup on, I can't even say my happy face or anything. She can still frown, you can still smile. You act like you're caked up and shit that makes it to where, like, you have a Joker Harlequin smile on or anything like that. And not speaking of the characters, I'm speaking about, the an actual Joker or a Harlequin. It's baffling that they would have this in, and this lady who can't act. Let's just put it that way. She can't act. She can't act her way out of a wet paper bag, and it's bad. It's really bad. Like, it's really astounding that she is so over the top or so over this way. I am acting. Aren't you telling my emotions by my words? It's bafflingly bad. There is like one decent actor, and that is Mulan's dad. And even then, he's in it for a few minutes, and that's kind of it. And it's 2 hour long flick. That's the other thing. This movie's fucking 2 hours long for no goddamn reason. But he's the best actor. Everybody else is over the top. Like, there is this evil witch. I don't think she's given a name. I think she's just witch. She's a whole thing to unravel after a bit. Everything she says is like a Power Rangers villain. It's diva talks in all essence. And I'm like, what the fuck is this I'm looking at? This is not a main villain. This is not even a henchwoman or anything. This is like a cartoon I'm looking at. The main bad guy who... I get that the Rurons were actually, they're a tribe of the Huns, and they did invade China way back when and all this and that. It's just... I hate to be that one to try and dumb things down. Just call them the Ruron Huns or something like that. Mention the Huns or Mongols or anything like that. Just do that. It would make the poor dumb Westerners of us kind of understand things a little bit more. Not that you have to always dumb things down for us, but you do need to give us something a little bit more to think of instead of us having to go look shit up on the side. Like, I had to look up what this is. I was like, okay, I know it's supposed to be based on a historical fantasy, tale, fantastical tale, but still. Yeah, Jet Li's in this as well. God, he's phoning it in every time he's on screen, and I swear his lines are all dubbed, even though I know he speaks English. It's really awkward every time Jet Li's on screen. I'm saying he plays like the Grand Emperor or something. It's awkward at best. But yeah, so the acting in this movie it's bad. It's very bad. It felt like the director was like all the actors spoke like Mandarin or Cantonese or something, and the director only spoke English and had no translators. But I know that isn't the tale since this entire movie is shot in English. And obviously, it's like they are actually speaking English and all that. It's not like, oh, this is a dubbed film. That would have been one thing. Just do that. Just have them dubbed. Or hell, do like Great Wall. I hate to actually endorse a movie I thought was really meh. But, at least have everybody speak Chinese. Like, I'm fine with that. It's like you want to be revering or show some kind of reverence towards the original source material or the country this is from. Boom. There you go. Don't change the fucking main language. Oh, not as many people are going to watch it. Well, maybe then you shouldn't bother with this. And see, I already have a problem with the fact that they decided that what they wanted to do with Mulan was not so much create a good movie, but actually just create a revering movie. It's like, oh, this is going to be something great. They're going to remember. They're going to hold this so dear to everything. No, this is a movie it's meant to, or it's meant to be that. It's meant to be this honoring film. It's like it's based on a Disney film that wasn't 100% very true to anything, and was a little on the silly side. Either you need to go with that and stay silly, or you need to go whole hog with the reverence. And considering how the Chinese have been treating millions of their own people, kind of would go for the irreverence of it, not the reverence. If that makes any sense. I would be whole hog silly. Personally, it makes a much more interesting film. See, Dusty agrees with me too. Yeah, I don't know what the intent behind it was, besides just being, like, oh, we're gonna make a Chinese epic, a Chinese fancy epic. It's like, because by the end of it all, because there is still there's bafflingly bad acting, and there's god awful CGI throughout the entire film. Like, there are points where this doesn't look finished properly. And we know that this was done. It's been done for a while. But there is supposedly like this whole thing, because we had to get rid of Mushu. We had to get rid of the comic relief because, god damn, this movie doesn't have any comedy in it, so it's really fucking stale. Like, at best, there's like the little joke I told you earlier about her talking about, oh, well, this is my happy face, this is my surprise face. And her face is all the same. And it's like, okay, I think it's supposed to be a joke, but with this lady delivering these lines with the same canter that somebody would deliver the lines of at a funeral, I don't know if I can actually give two flying shits about this or find this in the least bit humorous. But yeah, so the CGI looks like they spent $203 on it. Which, is a bigger budget than they tend to spend sometimes. But it still looks like hot garbage at times. This Phoenix creature they keep having, it's a Deus Ex Phoenix all the time. She is, or I'm going to say it's a she. Usually Phoenixes are described pretty much as female. It looks bad. It looks like just this roaring mess of red and all that. Magic jump cut. Sorry, Kitty wanted some attention real quick, so I had to see to him. Yeah, so not only is that bad, but there's like an avalanche scene I do know is from the original. That looks terrible. And just ultimately, there's so many like. There's parts where they're doing like, oh, I'm hitting you with like these ropes and grabbing you and throwing you around, and it looks silly. It also doesn't help that instead of us, being able to see it, it's like it's chopped up. It's all edited to crap. And because of that, it's like, okay, well, everything just looks too spastic. I can't tell what the fuck's going on. Sorry, I've got a little bit of sniffles right now. Yeah, I don't know why. For some reason, their idea of how to direct this movie and how to be able to shoot this better is to have really, really, really schizophrenic editing. Like, it is surprising how bad the editing is. Like, there are times whenever it is actively hard to tell what's going on. Magic jump cut. Sorry, loud kitty. But yeah, the whole time while watching this, to quickly go over the premise of the story, and it hits beats for beats. It hits the similar beats as what you expect from the story. Mulan is the daughter of a old soldier, and whenever the Ruan decide to invade, they send out a mass conscription, and her dad has no sons, so he originally volunteers, but Mulan wants to volunteer in his place, so she disguises herself as a guy and infiltrates the Chinese army and whatever, and fights the good fight and wins. This film, like, the biggest issue with it and where it constantly falls apart for me, and where I also begin to quickly not give a shit, is because a big thing that this movie makes a deal about is chi. Now, I know, I like Dragon Ball Z. I get that chi's a big thing with them, and it should be. It's a movie, or it's a show, built on, the principles of martial arts, for lack of a better way to put it. Here, though, chi just pretty much allows you to be a fucking wizard. You can just do whatever the hell you want. There is an evil chi lady. She is, that I've already spoken about with her terrible fucking acting. And she has the power to be able to transform into different animals. But also, she's like supposedly like a really super duper good fighter person. Mulan has her own, but because she's hiding as a guy, she can't fully register her chi. It explains like, oh, well, it's because you're lying to yourself. What does that fucking have to do with anything? It doesn't seem to be how any chi works. It seems to be only what arbitrary rule you're coming up with to explain away a plot hole. Or to make it to where she's not like super de-duper. And not only that, but there's a big issue where supposedly the reason why the one evil witch lady is fighting alongside the Huns is because supposedly the emperor made it to where you can't be a woman and have chi, or else you're exiled, or something, which seems stupid. Because, like, okay, well, if they're super powerful, and they're able to easily beat the shit out of anybody else, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? Honestly, it's a stupid idea. And it's never explained why they don't want women to have chi. And there's also, all the guys have zero chi, really, except for the fact they can kind of catch arrows, because that's a thing. This movie's stupid. Like, it's not reverent. It doesn't hold enough reverence for, all Chinese past glories. It doesn't suck Xi Jinping his cock enough. Make Winnie the Pooh nice and happy. And in the same instance, it also it doesn't do enough that can make anybody who doesn't give a shit about Chinese culture give a flying fuck. You have way too many moments in this entire film where there is honestly nothing happening. It's not good acting. It's not good choreographing. It's not good fighting. There's so little that really happens in this movie. Like, to be fair, there's only like two major fight sequences throughout the entire film. Pardon me. Both of them are really, really bad. There is not just bad CGI, but on top of everything, everything looks the goddamn same. Like, hell, take a movie like The Great Wall, where, yes, admittedly, it's like it's not a great movie. It's at least visually striking. And sure, the CGI sometimes is not the greatest, but it was a movie that had a smaller budget from a smaller studio, admittedly, than Disney. Compare it to Mulan here, the movie is nowhere near as visually striking, and on top of everything, it looks really, really rushed in its own CGI. Like, its CGI does not look better than that of Great Wall. It's it's astounding to me that this came from one of the biggest, movie producers throughout, or movie production companies throughout the entire United States. Like, we produced a movie that was this bafflingly bad, and only that, but it's honestly the biggest other problem with the movie is it's really lame. Like, there isn't enough good acting to consider this a drama. So the fact that there's not a lot of action hurts it even more. And the fact that there is no real comedic elements throughout the entire movie, it feels ultimately really, really bland. Like, there's so little that actually holds this movie together that you want to sit there and go, why am I watching this? Like, I was actively surprised while watching that this movie was as batshitly like lame as it was. I've watched some really lame movies. I've watched some really boring ass flicks. This takes the cake, I believe. This is so bizarrely like unenthused about its own plot that it just kind of plods along and just meanders into a conclusion by pure happenstance. Like, the true final act of this movie is like maybe a few minutes long, which, hey, your final act doesn't need to be super long, but it feels so fucking rushed. Like, it's like, oh yeah, we have to end this movie eventually. Oh, I guess we can just do this. Okay. Like, I don't really understand what they wanted to accomplish with this. Because all they ended up doing was they ended up wasting a lot of money on a not particularly well thought out idea. And again, I hate to harp on the same thing with every Disney remake like this. Why are we going to such new movies? Hell, I don't understand the idea. Why was Mulan the next thing we need to do? Over, I hate to even say it, why did you decide to skip Little Mermaid till later? Sure, Little Mermaid's going to be bad. It's got Melissa McCarthy in it. It's going to be cancer in movie form. But I fucking would much rather that than Mulan. At least Little Mermaid at this point is over 30 years old. At least there's almost precedence behind actually remaking it at this point. I don't agree with the idea behind remaking it, which is simply just to remake it for the sake of remaking it. Because honestly, Disney needs to think of why are we actually remaking something, instead of just like, oh, we'll remake it to bring it to a new audience. The new audience is probably watching this shit, especially with the advent of Disney Plus. It's a stupid idea. I don't get it. I honestly don't. And honestly, the reason why this kind of helped to bring me back is I was like, this movie is. It's also one of the worst movies I've watched this entire year. Like, it was actually astounding how bad, how poorly put together this entire film was. Like, I have never seen a movie studio so wantonly just crap out something that is so ferociously bad as this since Cats. That is astounding to me. The fact that we could have a movie that is like Cats level of inept, badly shot, badly edited, and terrible CGI as that, and it came from Disney as well, that is astounding to me. That is so interesting. I almost want to look back and figure out how did this thing end up getting made. Like, who is the guy who said, "Oh, we totally," or gal who decides, like, you know what, we totally need to make this thing. We need to remake Mulan and make it more, or revering of the ancestors of China, blah blah blah, and didn't realize that their original film was such a flawed flick from the beginning. Because if this is very similar in certain regards, like there's obviously a lot of problems. That's like you're not going to be able to reach that actual air of reverence that you really want to aim for. Instead, like I said, this feels so like it's like Pocahontas levels of like making fun of culture, unintentionally so. Like, I don't think they realize just how bad this comes off, and that's the scary part. Oh, but hey, I was actually kind of happy I watched it. This is a god awful train wreck of a movie. This is easily one of the worst things Disney has ever put out. It's worse than Frozen, I think. Maybe. Frozen still has the problem that it created Let It Go, so it doesn't have that issue. But hey, that's my opinions about Mulan. Did y'all finally watch as well? If you did, let me know below. Let me know how I'm wrong, or let me know how the '98 or the original Mulan. Let me say it that way. I don't know if it came out in '98. I really must say it did. I could look it up, but like I said, my phone's here. I'm too lazy to go get it. But let me know what y'all thought about it. And hey, eventually maybe I'll be able to get Megan's opinion about it because she's the one who holds the other one in much higher regard, and she can let you know what she thought about Mulan. But hey, until then, that's my opinions about it. And I guess I need to eventually give a score for this. Although I think it's quite obvious, and it's been unfortunately a very common score this year. It's a 1. There's not a decent thing about the movie. I I was like, oh, this actor's not bad. I can say that, or I can go, okay, this is actively keeping me somewhat awake because it's noise. Like, legitimately, that is the biggest thing I can say about the movie. Is like, it exists. it's a it's a cacophony of fuck ups that just ended up creating this thing. So hey, there you go, Disney. You managed to fuck up so much that we're all sitting there going, "How'd you do this?" But hey, that's my opinions, and I'm gonna get into something though a little bit more wondrous here in a second. But until then, I'll see you all later. So bye bye, y'all.